Hey everybody, just wanted to take a few minutes and share some things, and I hope you'll stick with me to the end because I'll explain kind of what this is really all about. But the first thing I wanted to share is last week I had the really cool opportunity to be part of a top producers mastermind group that met at the Utah County Association of Realtors. And this whole mastermind group thing seems to be sort of a buzz that's pretty popular. And I really like the idea because it gets people sharing ideas and realizing that there's enough pie for everybody, so to speak, and it raises the bar, raises the level of everybody else. And I first saw that in my life with a mentor of mine actually in volleyball, Dr. Carl McGowan, who passed away a couple of years ago. But he was the first that I know of that really went in depth and kind of shared his quote unquote trade secrets. And people kind of didn't know what to think about that at first. And, you know, why are you giving away all this knowledge, all this stuff that you've accumulated? And what it did was it raised the level of volleyball coaches across the country and the world, really, and made everything better. And always applauded him and looked up to him for that. And his success even continued beyond, I think, what he would have imagined as others were successful. And so as you get into these mastermind groups that are so popular, I see that same principle being applied, and it makes everybody else better. And just to give you an idea of what it took to be part of this or to be invited into this, you had to have done a minimum of 30 transactions per year. And to give you a little bit of perspective with that, there's a real estate coach that's world renowned named Tom Ferry. And he said that there are about 1.3 million agents in the United States. And he says about 43,000 of those 1.3 million are doing more than 25 transactions per year. So this has nothing to do with dollar volume or anything like that. This is closed transactions per year. So only 43,000 of the 1.3 million, which breaks down to only 3% of those agents are doing more than 25 transactions per year. And so to be invited into this group, you had to have done at least 30 transactions per year. And so if that holds true, as of today, there were 15,186 agents that are part of the Wasatch Front Multiple Listing Service, or MLS. And if that statistic is applied here, then that means only 455 agents out of the 15,000 plus are doing more than 25 transactions per year. So you can kind of get an idea of what an exclusive group this was, and I was so proud to be a part of it, and I'll explain where my pride comes from in just a little bit. It's not to brag. But one thing I noticed, and one thing that I kind of took away from this is that with all these successful agents, the common theme was focus and hustle and grind. The difference was that focus, hustle, and grind looked different for a lot of people. And there are a lot of agents that do a lot of things to be successful. And with those common qualities, how they're applied looks really different. And where my focus and hustle and grind comes in is a little bit different than most people. And where I've been really blessed and really lucky and really fortunate is that out of my transactions that I've done in real estate, I have gotten the chance to work with over 90% of people that I already know, or referrals that from people that I already knew. And that's huge because a lot of that grind comes from other agents will be cold calling, knocking doors, paying for internet leads and things like that. And I'll tell you right now, I don't do any of that. It's not that I'm not willing to. I don't know anyone that likes cold calling or knocking doors. And for sure, I put in the work when I first started into real estate to try and do that. None of it came to fruition. But what I have done is tried my best to foster the relationships that I already have, continue to build new relationships, and then to do my best to gain the trust of those people that I already know. And so the grind for me, the hustle for me, the focus for me comes from a quote from Chris Voss, who was a former FBI negotiator. And he said that learning is the only sustainable competitive advantage. I'll say that again. Chris Voss, FBI negotiator, 25 years plus, says learning is the only sustainable competitive advantage. And so what do? I spend my time when I'm not with clients and working my tail off for them. I'm learning, and I'm doing everything I can to be the expert for my clients. I study the market, I study housing, I study the economy. I'm constantly listening to podcasts, reading books about negotiating, reading books about how to become more effective with my time, and watching videos and training, and then also getting certain designations. So you'll see a lot of letters after my name if you ever get an email from me. And those things are important to me because it reflects that extra learning that I've taken the time to do. So for example, I'm an SRS, so a Seller's Representative Specialist. So I've taken some extra time and extra education to really be able to champion my sellers that are selling their homes or properties through me. I'm also an ABR, an Accredited Buyer's Representative, and that means that, again, I've taken more time to really understand the buying side of a real estate transaction and how I can really represent my buyers and give them the best possible experience and protect their interests the best I can. I'm a PSA, a Pricing Strategy Advisor. One of the things that I think is most important with real estate, especially if you're working with a lot of sellers like I do, is being able to effectively price property and know the market and know all of the factors that go in to pricing that so that it'll move quickly for the most amount, generate the most interest, and get it out there. I'm also a certified new construction specialist, so I can help my clients, even if they want to build a new home with a builder, whether that's a custom builder or production builder, I can help represent them in that process and kind of educate them and see how that goes. And then something I'm super proud of that you've probably seen recently is getting my broker's license, and that's double the amount of education that it takes for a regular agent. And then on top of that, passing the state and federal exams after you've received that education is being able to have a certain amount of time in the real estate business as a full-time agent, and then also being able to have certain points accumulated for each transaction. And so once you get a minimum amount of points, that allows you to be eligible to get your broker's license, which I've done. And so I get to be an associate broker with our brokerage, and that just helps with the day-to-day operations, managing people, managing other transactions, as well as that knowledge base. So I'm always learning. I'm constantly looking for ways to grow and be the resource and the trusted advisor for my clients, whether they're buying or selling. And so that brings me to the last point. The reason that this meant so much to me, that I was invited to be part of this mastermind group, is that so much of my business, like I said, over 90% of the business that I've done since I've been in real estate is from people that I already know, who already know me, that have referred friends to me, that have chosen to work with me. And that means that they trust me, and that means a ton. And the Gottman Institute actually recently released 5 criteria for trust. And those criteria are honesty, transparency, accountability, ethical actions, and proof of alliance. So I try to do this with every single client. I want them to know that I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to try and deceive them. So they know that I'm honest, that I'm going to do my very best, that I'm transparent, that what you see is what you get, that I'm not going to, again, try and deceive or to mislead or anything like that, that I'm accountable. I work for you, and I'm looking out for your best interests. And so I communicate, and we talk and we strategize and things like that. That I'm ethical, that I follow the rules and I do the best that I possibly can within the boundaries of the law, within the boundaries of the National Association of Realtors. So there's a difference between just an agent versus a realtor. Realtors abide by a certain code of ethics that gives us a little bit more of an advantage as well in that department. And then 5, proof of alliance. Basically, I want my clients to know that I'm on their side. And so the fact that people have trusted me so much to be able to work with their friends, to work with their family, to work with people that they love and care about, that means a ton to me. And so that was basically what I thought with being able to be part of this mastermind group of top producers, sharing ideas, realizing that the hustle and grind for me has been learning, but the real thing that has been such a fortunate opportunity for me is that my friends, my family, my past clients, future clients, hopefully, trust me. And that means a ton. And so they send their referrals to me and trust me to take care of them like they would themselves. And so all that said, I know that was quite a bit. The bottom line is thank you. Thank you so much to, like I said, all my past, present, future clients, friends, family, neighbors, people that I get to associate with. And I mentioned a volleyball coach at the beginning. That's been huge for me too, is the connections that I have through volleyball with my past career in coaching and things like that has given me an opportunity to meet so many people and to build that trust. And so thank you. And I look forward to being there for you in the future as well. If there's anything that I can do for you, then please let me know. Take care. Thanks. Bye.